when I was a kid, curiosity got the best of me. So I went to my dad and asked him how people were born. He sat me down and explained that Adam and Eve had babies. Their kids grew up, had babies, and that's how it all continued. I nodded like I completely understood and thanked him. Still curious, I decided to ask my mom the same question. She told me that humans were once monkeys and slowly evolved into what we are today. My brain immediately went into overload. I ran back to my dad, completely upset, and shouted, "You lied to me!" He didn't even flinch and calmly said, "No, I didn't." Then he smiled and added, "Your mom was just talking about her side of the family." I walked into my boss's office one day and decided it was time to be honest. I told him, "Sir, I know the economy isn't great, but I've got 3 companies after me right now." I explained that because of that pressure, I respectfully wanted to ask for a raise. He frowned, rubbed his chin, and we went back and forth for a few minutes. Finally, he sighed and agreed to give me a 5% raise. I stood up, smiling, ready to walk out feeling like a winner. Just as I reached the door, he stopped me and asked, "By the way, which 3 companies are after you?" I turned around and said, "The electric company, the water company, and the phone company." That's when I realized my raise was really just a bill survival plan. My boss came up to me one day and asked if I could work this weekend. I told him, "Yeah, no worries," trying to sound responsible and mature. Then I casually added that I might be a little late because public transport is really slow on weekends. He nodded and asked, "All right, what time do you think you'll get here?" I didn't hesitate for a second. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "Monday." For a moment, the office went completely silent. He stared at me like his soul had just left his body. That's when I knew my weekend plans were officially protected. I was sitting in the hospital break room one night, listening to 3 doctors argue about what kind of patients they preferred working on. Dr. Watson went first and said he loved treating librarians because according to him, all their organs were alphabetized. We all laughed, but Dr. Fitzpatrick immediately jumped in and said mathematicians were better because their organs were perfectly numbered. At that point, I thought the conversation couldn't get any stranger. Then Dr. Ahn leaned back in his chair with a grin and said his favorite patients were lawyers. He explained they were gutless, heartless, brainless, and spineless, so surgeries were a breeze. He even joked that their heads and rear ends were basically interchangeable. The room went completely silent for a second, and then we all burst out laughing. I realized right then that medical school teaches you anatomy, but hospital break rooms teach you comedy. I still remember this moment from school like it happened yesterday. I was sitting in class when my teacher decided to quiz us to see if we were paying attention. She asked, "Kids, what does the chicken give you?" And I confidently shouted, "Meat!" She smiled and said I was right. Then she asked, "What does the pig give you?" And without hesitation, I answered, "Bacon." The class laughed and the teacher looked pleased. Feeling unstoppable, I relaxed in my seat. Then she asked, "And what does the fat cow give you?" I didn't even think. I blurted out, "Homework!" The room went silent, and then everyone burst out laughing, including the teacher.